Archangel Michael says, you passed the test you never knew you were taking. But someone else failed, and they are coming for you. You were being watched, not by people, not by enemies in the flesh, but by the forces that govern spiritual balance. Every choice, every silence, every moment of restraint was weighed, not for praise, but for preparation. And now, the results have been declared in the spirit realm. Archangel Michael has spoken. You passed the test you never knew you were taking. But this is no moment of celebration, because what you did silently revealed someone else's rebellion. They failed, and their failure wasn't private. It sent a signal into the unseen, one that echoes with fury, jealousy, and vengeance. They are coming for you now, not just to stop you, but to reverse what heaven has already approved. This is not paranoia. It is prophecy. There was a trial where no courtroom existed, a divine examination where your soul was the paper and your integrity the pen. Every temptation you resisted, every time you chose obedience when disobedience would have been easier, those were all part of a hidden evaluation. You didn't know it, but your endurance under pressure made you chosen. A reward, elevation, access, and angelic covering. But there's a cost. Someone else wanted that position, and they weren't willing to earn it the righteous way. Their manipulation failed, and now, in their bitterness, they've aligned with the darker currents. Archangel Michael stands guard, but not to stop the confrontation, only to ensure it refines, not destroys. This is your awakening. The cloak over your reality is being torn, and what lies beyond it is not just spiritual, it's strategic. You are stepping into days where dreams will no longer be symbolic. They will be warnings. Where people will no longer simply appear in your life. They will be assignments, for or against you. This is not an ordinary script. This is a divine intelligence report disguised as prophecy. You're not reading by accident. What comes next will feel confusing if you're unprepared. But heaven has decided it's time you knew. Time you were equipped. Because the one who failed the test is coming not with weapons of this world, but with spiritual contracts, stolen insight, and a desperate intent to shift your destiny. But you will not be unarmed. You will be instructed and you will rise. In the following chapters, we will uncover who this failed one is, why your obedience triggered their attack, and how heaven intends to preserve your legacy in the midst of war. You are not alone. Archangel Michael is still speaking. There is always another figure in the shadows of your breakthrough, someone who walked beside you but never truly walked with you. They were close enough to study your process but never committed to the same sacrifice. Heaven gave both of you the same silence, the same test, the same weight to carry. But where you chose to endure, they chose to escape. You obeyed in uncertainty. They manipulated in pretense. You cried in private. They performed in public. You didn't know your tears were being recorded. But Archangel Michael did. Your victory was written in silence. Theirs was stained in ego. And now that judgment has been passed in the spirit realm, the one who failed can feel the shift. Not because they heard a voice from heaven, but because their access to your energy, your favor, and your future has been revoked. They sense the door closing, and they are panicking. But their fear is not rooted in loss. It is rooted in pride. They were hoping your downfall would validate their position. But instead, your ascension has become a mirror to their rebellion. And in the quiet, they've made a decision. If they couldn't rise, they will now try to pull you down. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7310. This is not merely jealousy. This is spiritual retaliation. The one who failed has aligned themselves with the very forces they once claimed to resist. Your bitterness opened a portal, and through that gateway, envy has grown legs. Their conversations are no longer innocent. Your silence is no longer passive. They are crafting spiritual interference. You may already be feeling it. Disrupted sleep, old emotions resurfacing, confusion where there once was clarity. These are not natural distractions. They are signs. The test you passed exposed their heart, and now their heart has become a weapon aimed at your purpose. Be warned, they are still pretending. They wear the same smile, use the same language, even offer false concern. But heaven sees what flesh cannot. Your prayers now echo from polluted altars. They ask for your peace while cursing your progress. They quote scripture but reject surrender. They post light but partner with shadows. But Archangel Michael stands at the boundary line. You are not meant to engage them. You are meant to elevate past their reach. This is not a battle of words, it is a war of spirits. And you are being trained in silence for a victory that shakes realms. Type I am anointed to get blessing 8442. You may notice familiar patterns repeating, arguments that come from nowhere, fatigue after you pray, or sudden distractions as soon as clarity arrives. That's the signature of sabotage in motion. The failed one is not alone. They are now in agreement with spiritual forces sent to dismantle your assignment. But what they forgot is that what you carry wasn't earned, it was entrusted. And heaven protects its investments. Your discernment is your sword now. Your wisdom is your shield. You are not fighting to prove you passed the test. You're standing to protect what passing the test allowed. The one who failed is not your enemy in flesh, but they have become a vessel of interference. You are not called to destroy them, but you are required to distance yourself. You cannot carry divine elevation while dragging earthly attachments. They chose their path, and now they will walk it. The shaking around you is heaven's way of severing ties that no longer serve your future. You are not being punished. You are being preserved. Don't mourn what is falling away. Celebrate what is finally being revealed. Exposure is the mercy of God before acceleration. Their hands were once near your harvest, but now their fingers burn when they touch your field. You were tested to become trustworthy. They were tested and exposed. And now the spiritual shift has made you a marked target, but not for destruction, for defense, divine instruction, and acceleration. Archangel Michael stands guard because you passed what others faked. Don't look back. The one who failed is watching, but heaven is watching over you. Type I am chosen to receive blessing 6901. It wasn't a stranger who tried to stop you. It wasn't an enemy who never knew your name. It was someone who walked beside you in the sacred seasons. Someone who held your secrets and stood beside you during your lowest hours, not out of love, but out of strategy. They got close so they could study you. And when they couldn't duplicate the oil you carried, they turned against you in the unseen. Their betrayal wasn't loud. It was calculated. It didn't show up as slander, but as withdrawal, hesitation, comparison. They didn't speak against you with their mouth. They spoke against you with their spirit. What makes the attack dangerous is not the noise. It's the familiarity. They know how to pull you emotionally because they've seen what breaks you. They know your doubts, your wounds, your past battles. They know how to trigger what you thought you'd healed from. And now, their assignment is to delay your destiny by reactivating what you buried. But don't be fooled. This is not about reconciliation. It's about spiritual interference. You are not crazy for sensing a shift. You're not paranoid for feeling their pull. What you're sensing is truth, and heaven is confirming it now. They were close enough to wound you, but not close enough to stop you. Type I am guarded to get the blessing 6127. The pain of this betrayal is sharp because you once prayed with them. You once shared dreams, exchanged faith, even believed they were part of the promise. But revelation has arrived. Archangel Michael is uncovering the hidden allegiances. You are now seeing what heaven saw before the test began. The one who failed wasn't just failing themselves. They were attempting to sabotage the very one heaven was elevating, you. But your purity was never wasted. God documented your loyalty. He witnessed your restraint when you could have clapped back. And now, the reward is not just power, it's clarity. You will no longer question who was sent by God and who was sent as a lesson. They wore the disguise of destiny connection, but now their mask is slipping. They cheered your wins in public but envied them in private. They sent encouragement with one hand and spiritual interference with the other. This is why things would suddenly break when they came around, why your joy would vanish in their presence. They weren't just draining your energy, they were sabotaging your frequency. The failed one became a spiritual thief, planting seeds of confusion through soft words. But that ends now. Archangel Michael has drawn the line. What once blended in is now being separated by fire. Type I am protected to get blessing 8034. Do not mourn the disconnection. Celebrate the exposure. You are being purified by clarity. Heaven is severing what cannot go with you. You passed the test, and this is part of the reward. Divine distinction. God is showing you who carries truth and who carries a counterfeit calling. The failed one will try to re-enter through memory, guilt, or even prophecy. But discernment is your defense now. Not every familiar voice belongs in your next chapter. Not every history deserves a future. Elevation requires elimination, and the spirit realm is already enforcing it on your behalf. They will say you've changed. They'll accuse you of pride, distance, or coldness. But don't take the bait. This isn't about emotions, it's about obedience. The battle is not with them personally. It's with what they've agreed with spiritually. Their jealousy has opened portals that threaten to pull you back. But your obedience sealed a door they can no longer access. You don't owe them explanations. You don't owe them another chance. The test has already been graded. You are moving forward, and they are no longer your assignment. Let them go. Let God finish it. Your rise is not accidental. It is supernatural. Archangel Michael did not show up to negotiate. He came to enforce the verdict. You passed. They failed. And now, everything that tried to follow you must be cut off. Heaven is on the move. You will see relationships crumble that were built on lies. You will feel lighter as attachments are severed. This is deliverance. This is divine closure. And though it hurts now, peace is coming. You will walk into your next level without the weight of their betrayal. And they will watch as what they tried to delay becomes unstoppable. If this message has stirred your spirit and sparked new courage in your heart, we invite you to give a super thanks of $20. Your generosity empowers us to continue bringing prophetic clarity, strength, and hope to those walking the journey from betrayal to breakthrough. You can also support our mission through a PayPal donation. Just click the support here link in the video description. Every contribution, no matter the amount, helps us reach more hearts with encouragement and truth. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a word of spirit-led insight, divine guidance, and powerful encouragement designed to equip you for your next season. Type I am rising again to receive blessing 9205. Jealousy is not just an emotion. In the spirit realm, jealousy becomes an agreement. And when someone is unwilling to confront their envy, it makes room for something darker to enter. The one who failed has now come into agreement with what once only whispered to them. What began as internal bitterness has become spiritual hostility. They are no longer just disappointed. They are activated. Your success has become their torment. Your name is now a trigger, not because of what you took from them, but because you proved what they never truly carried. You became the proof that favor isn't fabricated. This is why your presence unsettles them. They can't be in the same room without feeling inferior, because you reflect what they forfeited. But instead of repentance, they've chosen retaliation. They've partnered with powers that promise elevation without obedience. And now, you've become the mark of what they could never become. Be careful. Their smile is still present, but their spirit is not innocent. They joined hands with something unclean. And what started as envy is now warfare. Not all warfare is loud. Some of it hides in silence, subtle gestures, and lingering eyes that wish your downfall. Type "I walk in truth" to get the blessing 7764. Their prayers have changed, but not toward repentance. They now ask heaven to stop you. But heaven isn't listening to them. Heaven is watching you. Archangel Michael is not just fighting for your survival, he's clearing paths for your expansion. Still, don't be ignorant of the failed one's new alignment. They've begun to speak your name in corrupted circles. Not every prophetic voice around you is pure. Some have been influenced. Some have been bought. You'll begin to discern this, not by what they say, but by what they no longer carry. Your oil is stale. Their fire is strange. The jealous one has a new mission now, to mimic your movements and poison your reputation. They'll start appearing in places they once ignored. They'll start using language you once birthed in prayer. Imitation becomes their tactic. But what they can't counterfeit is your anointing. What they can't steal is your approval from heaven. And this is what torments them most. No matter how close they try to walk in your shadow, the light refuses to touch them. You are protected by divine distinction. The oil on your life cannot be replicated. It was formed through fire, not flattery. Type "I am unshakable" to get blessing 8850. The next phase of your journey will reveal how deep their bitterness goes. You may hear distorted versions of your story. People may come to you with concerns shaped by their false narrative. Do not defend. Do not panic. Let your fruit speak. You are not fighting to be understood. You're standing because you were proven. The more they twist, the more truth will emerge. Because heaven never allows lies to triumph over a vessel it has chosen. You are not just surviving. You are being elevated in the presence of opposition. This is not the devil's attack. It is heaven's announcement. God is not confused by the noise around your name. In fact, he's using it to reveal hearts, expose counterfeit alliances, and clean your spiritual environment. The failed one may have momentum in the natural, but they are losing ground in the supernatural. Their name may still echo in places, but their access has expired. And as they attempt to defame you, they are unknowingly marking themselves for removal. They don't realize this is their final opportunity to repent. But instead, they are digging a pit. What was once jealousy is now self-sabotage. And you will walk untouched. You were not promoted because you were perfect. You were promoted because you were obedient. And now, obedience has triggered jealousy, and jealousy has triggered exposure. But exposure is not the end. It is the beginning of divine realignment. Those who failed cannot follow you. Their agreement with darkness disqualifies them from your next. You not fear the resistance. The failed one is moving, but so is the angel assigned to you. Archangel Michael is not on standby. He is clearing space. You will not be stopped. And what tried to copy you will be silenced by God himself. I am secured by heaven to receive blessing 9277. They thought you were favored because things looked easy. They mistook your silence for privilege. They assumed your elevation came without endurance. But what they never saw with the fight, they didn't see the nights you wrestled in your spirit or the hours you spent obeying in confusion. They weren't there when God stripped you in private so he could clothe you in glory. What they called favor was actually fire-tested endurance. You were defined while they were rehearsing. You were crying when they were performing. And now, the result of your obedience is a light that burns their ego. The one who failed didn't just envy your position. They resented your process. They wanted the oil, but not the crushing. They craved the platform, but not the preparation. And so, when God began to exalt you in the Spirit, they didn't see it as justice, they saw it as injustice. Because in their heart, they believed they deserved more. And in that belief, they gave the enemy access. Their wounded pride became a landing strip for spiritual distortion. They are now convinced you took something that should have been theirs. But what they don't know is your elevation came with stars they would have never survived. I am fireproof to get the blessing 7781. You never asked for this spotlight. You asked for peace. You never chased a crown. You surrendered for purpose. But heaven saw your submission and decided you were ready for visibility. And now, the failed one watches from the shadows, choking on the smoke of your survival. They are not angry at your blessings. They are tormented by your endurance. You remind them that there was another way, that the silent path still works, that character still matters. And in their offense, they've taken up arms, spiritual wands. You can feel the weight of unseen resistance, but you must know, it cannot prosper. Their warfare is subtle. It looks like spiritual counsel. It sounds like concern. But beneath their words are assignments, delays, distractions, and deception. They'll say they are praying for you, but their prayers are polluted. They'll offer advice that's designed to deter your calling. I want you off course, off balance, and off right. But Archangel Michael is not confused. He's been assigned to guard your path because your steps are no longer random. They are ordered. And every trap they set will now expose their own rebellion. You will no longer walk blind. Your discernment has been sharpened by the fire. I'm advancing to get blessing 8923. The failed one's greatest frustration is that your light keeps growing. They hoped you'd disqualify yourself. They waited for you to fall under pressure. But instead, you flourished. And now, their agreement with darkness is intensifying. They are whispering in corners, building alliances of offense. But don't be moved. Heaven will not let you be outnumbered. For every tongue rising against you, a sword has been drawn in your defense. For every lie spoken, there is a divine record of truth. You are not fighting for attention. You are walking in confirmation. And your confirmation came from the throne, not a crowd. In this season, you must be careful not to return to who God delivered you from. The failed one may try to reappear in moments of weakness. They may try to flatter their way back into your atmosphere. But your discernment must be stronger than your empathy. This is not a time for second chances. This is a time for holy separation. Their smile does not reflect their spirit, and their presence now carries interference. You don't need to make a scene. You just need to close the door. Peace is not passive. It is protected. And your peace is now prophetic. You have crossed into a season where pretending can no longer survive. Their masks are falling, and your eyes are being opened. Heaven is purging the path ahead of you. You are no longer being hidden. You are being revealed. But exposure brings confrontation. You will be confronted by their attempts to reverse what God has affirmed. But the fire that forged you is stronger than their strategy. Archangel Michael is not merely defending you. He is promoting you in the face of falsehood. Keep walking. Keep listening. What they call favor, you call fire. And that fire is what made you unstoppable. Type I'm rising from fire to receive blessing 9551. Heaven didn't promote you to embarrass anyone. Your elevation was not an attack. It was alignment. But when you rose, others were revealed. Your light didn't just shine, it exposed. The one who failed was content to pretend while you were submitting. They were comfortable in camouflage while you were in the wilderness. But when God called your name, the divine spotlight didn't just hit you, it illuminated what they were hiding. Their motives, their envy, their false humility. It all became visible in the light of your obedience. You didn't mean to uncover them. You simply obeyed. Now, they hate what your obedience revealed. It wasn't your words that broke their illusion. It was your walk. They'd spent years building a platform of appearance, but in a moment, your authenticity crushed their performance. They can't stand the sound of your neighing, not because you wounded them, but because you woke up a part of them that refused to grow. Your rise challenged their routine. Your favor made their pretense uncomfortable. So instead of growing, they're retaliating. Instead of repenting, they're plotting. Their frustration has turned spiritual. And you're being called to move with even greater precision. Type I move in obedience to get the blessing 8211. Their exposure wasn't a public event. It was a spiritual shift. You may not see headlines, but in the spirit realm, their mask has fallen. The angels have removed their access to your next level. You'll notice the distance increasing. Conversations will feel off. Peace will leave the room when they enter. That's not drama. That's discernment. God is showing you who never had the heart for your journey. They only had the hunger for your spotlight. And now that they've been exposed, they'll either retreat or try to disguise themselves again. But it will work. You've outgrown the deception. This exposure is not punishment. It's purification. It's God's way of preserving your momentum. You can't build legacy with people secretly praying for your collapse. You can't carry glory while dragging those aligned with corruption. The exposure was heaven's mercy. You didn't need to confront them. God did it with light. Now your circle is being refined. Your boundaries are being blessed. And your future is being insulated from sabotage. You didn't lose a friend, you lost a spy. What they called closeness was actually surveillance. And heaven canceled their assignment the moment you passed your test. Type I walk in clarity to get blessing 7344. They'll try to act unfazed, but they're watching. They are studying your next move. Every post, every connection, every shift in your energy, they're dissecting it. Not out of admiration, but out of panic. Because what was once familiar is now forbidden. They are locked out of your future. And they know it. They'll try to recreate your steps. They'll mimic your obedience. But what they don't understand is, this isn't performance-based. It's presence-based. You didn't earn this by charisma. You were entrusted with it through paying, and what's been entrusted can't be copied. Is sealed, is holy, is untouchable by impostors. You'll feel the weight of separation, but don't confuse grief with regression. Just because they walked with you doesn't mean they were meant to finish with you. Some were seasonal, some were sent, others were allowed, but only for a while. Now that heaven has revealed the truth, your responsibility is simple. Keep walking. Don't look back. Don't re-explain. Don't reopen doors God has shut. The failed one is hoping nostalgia will override discernment. Don't let it. You're not being cold, you're being consecrated. And the next level requires clean hands and holy partnerships, not shared memories. Your obedience triggered exposure for them, but expansion for you. The more you submitted, the more heaven revealed. What they tried to hide is now undeniable. But this isn't about revenge. It's about release. You are being released from old agreements, silent competition, and unseen sabotage. You are being released from the pressure to please people who were never assigned to your promise. You are being released to rise without guilt. Archangel Michael is not just cutting cords. He's protecting your climb. The failed one can shout, but they cannot shake what God has sealed. Walk forward. You are covered. I'm released to rise to receive blessing 9628. Your name has weight in places you've never been. Not because you announced yourself, but because heaven did. Every time you obeyed in private, your name was whispered in divine halls. Every time you forgave without apology, it echoed across realms. The spirit world doesn't recognize your title, it recognizes your surrender. And now, because of your obedience, you become known. The same way heaven marked you for promotion, the enemy marked you for interference. You didn't volunteer for this visibility, but your character qualified you for it. And now, your steps are watched not only by angels, but by opposers too. You are no longer hidden. The spirit realm knows who you are. Your voice has power, not because it's loud, but because it's rooted in truth. Your words disturb dark atmospheres because you don't speak from ego. You speak from endurance. And the one who failed, they feel it too. Your presence reminds them of what they lost. Your name makes demons tremble because of what you carry. You don't just walk into rooms anymore, you shift atmospheres. But with great recognition comes great responsibility. Now is not the time for passivity. Now is the time to stand with authority. I walk in power to get the blessing 8877. The failed one knows they no longer have access, but they have it given up. They are attempting to redefine you through influence, perception, and distortion. Not everyone who questions you is speaking from discernment. Some are echoing demonic confusion. Be cautious with explanations. You are not called to clear your name in rooms God never sent you to. Let your fruit speak. The same spirit realm that saw you pass the test will now fight on your behalf. Archangel Michael was not just assigned to reveal the truth. He's positioned to protect it. Your reputation is not at risk. Your legacy is. Discernment must be your daily weapon now. Everyone smiling at you is not celebrating you. Some have hidden questions. Some are on assignment to study and delay you. Not every open door is from God. Some are set by familiar spirits to distract you with opportunities that taste like destiny but lead to delay. Listen closely in this season. Heaven is speaking in patterns, signs, and divine nudges. The failed one will use timing and language to impersonate God's voice. But you'll know it's false because it demands performance, not peace. The next time you feel pressure to press, pause. Type I am led by truth to get blessing 7013. The higher you rise, the more precise your atmosphere must become. This is the season to guard your time, your energy, and your focus. You don't have the luxury of casual connections anymore. Your mantle is under surveillance, and the enemy is subtle. They won't always send loud attacks. Sometimes they'll send familiar faces with old agreements. Don't confuse old access with current alignment. The failed one may try to re-enter through shared memories or spiritual language, but the frequency will always be off. Trust that. God is tuning your discernment like an instrument. Trust the shift even when it feels sharp. You're being elevated in ways your enemies can't track. Heaven is opening doors that don't make sense to others, but they make perfect sense to your spirit. You will step into rooms where your name arrived before your feet did. And in those rooms, the one who failed may try to follow, but they'll be denied entry. Not because of you, but because their heart wasn't refined. What God is doing in you is permanent. The shaking isn't to scare you, it's to separate you. You are being marked, moved, and multiplied. And nothing sent to mimic you can maintain your momentum. Your name has now been sealed with divine fire. The failed one can say what they want, but they cannot undo what obedience has established. You are known in heaven. You are feared in hell. You are protected by the word of your endurance. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't dim your light to protect their ego. Your rise is not a threat, it's a prophecy. And anyone who wages war against it will find themselves wrestling against God. Keep walking. Keep trusting. Archangel Michael is not just watching. He is warring on your behalf. If this message has stirred your spirit and sparked new courage in your heart, we invite you to give a super thanks of $20. Your generosity empowers us to continue bringing prophetic clarity, strength, and hope to those walking the journey from betrayal to breakthrough. You can also support our mission through a PayPal donation. Just click the support here link in the video description. Every contribution, no matter the amount, helps us reach more hearts with encouragement and truth. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a word of spirit-led insight, divine guidance, and powerful encouragement designed to equip you for your next season. Type I am recognized in heaven to receive blessing 9740. The failed one has now resorted to imitation. They saw that your obedience produced results, so now they try to replicate your language. They echo your phrases, mimic your prayers, even copy your tone. But what they don't understand is your words carry weight because they were forged in warfare. You didn't memorize those words from a post or a sermon. You bled for them. You wrestled in silence for them. Your declarations were born from consecration, not imitation. And no matter how well they mimic your sound, they cannot copy your oil. Heaven responds to authenticity, not performance. They say the right things, but their atmosphere remains unchanged. Why? Because authority is not volume, it's alignment. And alignment requires sacrifice. While they rehearse what you release, the realm of the Spirit remains unmoved. Angels don't respond to borrowed language. Demons aren't cast out by memorized phrases. Power flows through purity. And the failed one rejected that purity when they sought platform without submission. And now, they envy your impact but refuse to confront their compromise. What they don't realize is, your strength didn't come from shouting, it came from surrender. And without that, all they hold is empty sound. Type I carry divine weight to get the blessing 6882. This is why doors are opening for you that remain shut to them. You did kick them down. You were invited. God doesn't reward performance, He honors posture. While they danced for attention, you bowed in secret. And now, the spotlight exposes not just who is seen, but who is stable. Their words sound impressive, but they shake when warfare comes. You've already survived the storm. The failed one wears your vocabulary like a costume, hoping no one notices the lack of presence behind it. But heaven sees. And now, exposure is no longer a threat. It's a requirement. You'll begin to feel the difference. When you speak, there's movement. When they speak, there's noise. Don't let flattery confuse you. Just because people clap doesn't mean the spirit realm responds. You've been marked by fire, and that fire has made your voice recognizable in heavenly places. Stay rooted. Don't try to match their energy. Walk in your own assignment. Let them mimic. Let them posture. But you, remain planted. Your fruit will speak louder than their facade. And when they attempt to discredit you, the presence of God will confirm what imitation can never produce: true authority. Type "I am aligned with fire" to get blessing 7435. Their biggest frustration is that your results keep growing. They keep trying, but doors remain locked to them. Why? Because heaven doesn't open based on charisma. It opens based on covenant. And your covenant wasn't made on a stage. It was sealed in the secret place. You didn't chase affirmation. You chased presence. You didn't fast to be seen. You fasted to hear. They treat platforms like pulpits and audiences validation. But your platform is heaven, and your validation came from God. Now, your assignment speaks for itself. They want what you carry, but they won't carry what you endure. They'll try to twist the narrative, make others question your character. But you don't need to defend what God has already confirmed. Let your consistency silence confusion. Let your integrity dismantle their image. They may gather people, but they won't gather presence. And eventually, those drawn to their sound will hunger for real substance. That's when the separation will become obvious. You were built for longevity. They were chasing moments. You are walking in legacy. They are clinging to visibility. And the longer you walk in silence, the more your fruit will shout what your mouth never needed to say. You are not threatened by imitation because your voice wasn't given by man. You carry the echo of obedience, the weight of surrender, and the mark of survival. What the failed one tries to fake, you live. What they try to perform, you've already become. Archangel Michael is not guarding a copy. He is guarding the original. And you are the original in this war. You were forged in fire, proven in silence, and released with precision. Don't shrink. Don't explain. Let heaven keep announcing you. Because no mimicry can overthrow what was birthed in holy sacrifice. Top I speak with heaven's weight to receive blessing 9901. When you passed the test, a spiritual exchange happened. Heaven released clarity, authority, and divine backing over your life. But in the same moment, the failed one made an exchange too, not with God, but with a counterfeit. Their bitterness signed a silent contract. They agreed to oppose what they once pretended to support. The agreement became a portal, and through it, spiritual interference began to flow. Their prayers became polluted. Their words became weapons. And without fully realizing it, they stepped into an assignment not from heaven, but from hell. You must understand, not every attack is obvious. Some are activated through jealousy, through gossip masked as concern, through alliances formed in bitterness. The failed one did not need to speak curses out loud. Envy was enough to invite darkness in. Their heart became a signature on a demonic contract, and you became the target. You feel it in strange heaviness, in the tension that shows up when you try to move forward. That's not coincidence, it's coordinated. But what they sign in secrecy, heaven has already seen, and what was forged in darkness is being answered by light. Type I cancel every contract to get the blessing 8824. There are angels on assignment to intercept what was sent. Archangel Michael is not reacting. He's responding. He saw the moment envy turned to rebellion. You witnessed when admiration became sabotage. And now, every spiritual plot is being reversed. But you must stay aligned. This is not the time to engage in unnecessary battles. Let God avenge. Let heaven respond. The failed one is no longer fighting with you. They are now resisting heaven's decision. And you, the one who passed, must guard your peace like it's sacred. Because it is. Peace is the evidence of divine authority in warfare. Don't be surprised if you start dreaming about contracts, documents, or symbols. Heaven may be showing you what was signed without your consent. But revelation is power. And as you become aware, you also become equipped. The failed one may have tried to reverse your momentum through spiritual deals, but they underestimated your covering. Your obedience has activated surveillance in the spirit realm. Nothing will touch your purpose unless it first passes through permission. And guess what? Permission has been denied. You are not exposed, you are protected. What was meant to bind you is breaking now. Type I am under divine surveillance to get blessing 9373. The failed one may even try to pretend they've changed. They might try to come back with apologies, cloaked in half-truths. But you will know them by their fruit. They didn't repent. They redirected. Their motives haven't shifted. Only their tactics have. They are no longer trying to stop you directly. They are trying to reattach themselves to your oil. But that access has been revoked. You are not obligated to re-engage what God removed. Some contracts were broken by your silence. Some were canceled when you refused to retaliate. Heaven responds to restraint with reinforcement. You didn't clap back. You ascended. You must remember, the elevation you carry came at a cost. You survived losses they'll never understand. You overcame what they tried to use against you. And now that you're rising, their desperation is manifesting. They may seek others to join their cause. They may attempt to gather support by distorting your story. Let them talk. Heaven is listening. Every word spoken in darkness is being recorded. Every false alignment is being dismantled. You're not the one at risk. They are. You walk with angelic backing. And Archangel Michael doesn't play when it comes to those who walk in obedience. This is why your discernment matters more than ever. Don't be lured into unnecessary explanations. Dodala ultimo to reopen kondo. The failed one has already revealed their allegiance by what they attempted in secret. God allowed you to feel the weight of it, not to overwhelm you, but to warn you. So now you rise, not with fear, but with intelligence. You move not with suspicion, but with authority. The contracts have been broken. The curses have been silenced. And the failed one, they're about to see what happens when heaven defends the obedient. Type I rise under God's judgment to receive blessing 9659. The failed one did everything in their power to stop you. They whispered lies into rooms where you weren't present. They sowed doubt into hearts that once supported you. They prayed against you, fasted with impure motives, and partnered with dark influences to block your progress. But the one thing they didn't expect was that you would keep standing. Your survival has now become a judgment against their plans. Every breath you take is a contradiction to their curses. Every step forward is a reminder that no weapon formed against you could prosper. You are no longer just rising. You are exposing. You are the evidence that purity still wins. That secret obedience still prevails over public performance. While they chased influence, you cultivated impact. While they crafted strategies, you leaned into surrender. And now, your very existence confronts their failure. This is why you're feeling pressure again, not because you're off track, but because you've become a mirror they cannot escape. Your name is unsettling to them because it proves something they don't want to admit. Heaven chose you. And not because you were loud, but because you were loyal when no one was watching. Type I am living proof to get the blessing 8908. Their rage is no longer rooted in offense. It's rooted in helplessness. Every spiritual scheme they designed is unraveling. Every altar they whispered your name at is falling under the weight of divine authority. They tried to gather voices against you, but those voices are growing silent. They tried to delay you through distraction, but you've grown wiser. They wanted you to forfeit your assignment, but instead, you sharpened your sword. And now, the realm of darkness is frustrated, because no matter what's launched at you, your name keeps gaining strength. Not popularity, spiritual force. Heaven is placing weight on your presence. Your walk carries power now because it cost you something. That's why the failed one can't replicate it. They can try to steal your words, but they can't steal your warfare. Your survival wasn't gifted. It was earned through tears, silence, and scars. And that history cannot be duplicated. They don't just envy your success. They envy the strength that got you there. But what they hate most is that their tactics didn't work. They performed incantations in secret, but heaven rejected every ritual. They launched rumors, but your fruit silenced them. They threw darts, but you were covered before the first one flew. Type I am covered by fire to get blessing 7555. You'll start to notice a new shift. One where the failed one can't even speak your name without trembling. Not because you're intimidating, but because your presence is now guarded by the courts of heaven. There are things being reversed without your involvement. There are accusations being silenced without your defense. And the people they tried to convince, they're seeing truth with fresh eyes. Some will return with apologies. Others will disappear in shame. Don't chase either. Just keep walking. You are no longer trying to prove anything. You are the proof. And that reality cannot be denied. Even their silence is a sign. They are watching, but they can no longer reach. Their influence is being stripped. Their access is being shut down. And what they once held over you spiritually has now been revoked. This is divine justice, not because you begged for revenge, but because you chose purity. Heaven moves when character prevails. Archangel Michael is not just shielding you now, he's silencing your accusers. You will no longer need to explain your journey. Your victory is enough. Your stability is a rebuke to their chaos. Your peace is louder than their plans. And your calling is undeniable. This is your confirmation that you passed what they failed. They were tested in secret, and their motives turned into poison. But you were tested in silence, and your obedience turned into oil. Now, the weight you carry is evidence of heaven's decision. You don't need to respond to what's been said. You only need to walk in what's been spoken over you. The failed one tried to remove your name from the scroll, but God engraved it deeper. You are not just moving forward. You are walking in vindication. And every realm, seen and unseen, must now honor the truth. You were chosen. If this message has stirred your spirit and sparked new courage in your heart, we invite you to give a super thanks of $20. Your generosity empowers us to continue bringing prophetic clarity, strength, and hope to those walking the journey from betrayal to breakthrough. You can also support our mission through a PayPal donation. Just click the support here link in the video description. Every contribution, no matter the amount, helps us reach more hearts with encouragement and truth. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a word of spirit-led insight, divine guidance, and powerful encouragement designed to equip you for your next season. Type I am the evidence to receive blessing 9784. You've stepped into a realm where nothing stays hidden. Once heaven reveals the plot, every layer begins to unravel, spiritually and physically. What was once whispered behind closed doors is now being uncovered in broad daylight. The failed one thought their words would never surface. But heaven has a law. What's spoken in shadows will echo in the open. The very people they tried to poison against you are now seeing the fruit of your endurance. And it's forcing them to choose sides, not with you or against you, but with truth or deception. The truth is, your fruit is testifying louder than their lies. You never needed a platform to speak on your behalf. Heaven gave you evidence instead. Where they brought accusations, you brought results. Where they stirred confusion, you brought clarity. You weren't loud, you were consistent. And consistency always wins where performance fails. But now comes the phase where your visibility increases. Not because you want it, but because it's necessary. Your light was hidden for a time, but heaven is no longer shielding it. This isn't promotion for your sake. It's exposure for the sake of justice. You were always meant to shine. Now God is making sure nothing can dim you again. Type I shine without apology to get the blessing 9311. Be prepared. The failed one will act unbothered, but they are unraveling internally. The exposure is spiritual, but it affects every layer, mental, emotional, and relational. They are losing influence, losing connections, losing credibility. They tried to exchange your name for theirs, but heaven doesn't barter with compromise. What was done in secret agreements is now being broken by divine announcement. You don't need to retaliate. Just remain positioned. Every lie will bow. Every scheme will fold. And every alliance they built without God's blessing will collapse under the weight of truth. The sword of Michael is not symbolic. It is judicial. Some of their closest confidants are turning. Why? Because truth demands a response. They see what can't be denied anymore. The anointing on your life is undeniable, and the counterfeit narrative is falling apart. You may hear apologies. You may hear silence. Either way, it's evidence. Their version of the story no longer holds. Heaven's correction has begun. Your name is being restored, not by people, but by divine order. Every ear that once received the lie will now receive the truth. And it will sting, because what they believed about you wasn't just false. It was orchestrated. Type I am cleared by truth to get blessing 8572. Your responsibility now is not to gloat. It's to stay in alignment. Don't let vindication turn into distraction. Just because people now see what you knew all along doesn't mean you must revisit old wounds. The failed one will try to lure you into emotional re-engagement. Don't fall for it. That conversation is over. The chapter is sealed. You're not being cold. You're being focused. God didn't bring you this far to turn back out of curiosity. You didn't ask for exposure, but now that it's here, steward it wisely. Stay quiet. Stay elevated. Let them watch what real favor looks like. The realm of the Spirit has shifted in your favor. Resistance is weakening. False narratives are burning out. You are now walking in acceleration. What was once delayed is being released. Doors are opening that were once supernaturally shut, not because of anything you said, but because of what you endured. This is heaven's response to injustice. Divine reversal is happening. The failed one cannot keep up because the grace you walk in is not transferable. They had opportunity, but you had obedience. They had influence, but you had oil. And oil always turns it blows. Now they must watch what obedience builds. You are being honored now, not in secret, but publicly. The realm that once mocked you must now acknowledge you. The assignment that once tried to bury you must now release you. Archangel Michael did not just fight for your safety, he warred for your name. And now your name is being cleansed in the heavens and confirmed on earth. Walk boldly. Speak wisely. Move carefully. You carry the testimony of one who passed the test. And as for the one who failed, their chapter is closing. Heaven has ruled, and the earth is echoing the verdict. You were always the one. Type I am heaven's justice to receive blessing 9026. When destruction failed, the failed one turned to delay. They realized they couldn't stop your calling, so they set traps to slow your momentum. But what they did account for was the power of divine timing. Every delay they engineered became a detour into deeper alignment. They thought hindrance would frustrate you into forfeiting. Instead, it forced you into greater focus. While they conjured confusion, heaven was refining your discernment. What they meant for interruption became incubation. You weren't being stalled. You were being sharpened. You were being prepared for impact they could never see coming. They used emotional manipulation, disguised concern, subtle gaslighting, all to anchor your feet to old versions of yourself. But the spirit inside you resisted. You were grieved, yes, but you weren't grounded. The failed one thought if they couldn't disqualify you, they could at least distract you. But God used even the chaos to reveal strategy. Now you see clearly. Now you walk freely. The delay didn't work. It only gave you time to build more authority. They watched your path, hoping to reroute it, but your route was never up to them. It was sealed in heaven before they even entered the picture. Type I break delay to get the blessing 7912. Some of the people they partnered with weren't obvious. Some even used spiritual language. They prophesied confusion over you and called it discernment. They masked envy as insight. But now, their masks are cracking. The fire of God is flushing out every counterfeit voice. Your ears are being tuned again. What once sounded holy now feels hollow. What once seemed helpful now reveals itself as manipulation. And the failed one's network is crumbling. They formed alliances based on resentment, not revelation. And what's not birthed in truth always self-destructs. Let it fall. Let it collapse. You will know rescue. This is your moment to walk past the rubble. Do not stay to explain your survival to those who planned your burial. They wouldn't understand anyway. Some of them mourned the thought of your failure. Some secretly celebrated your slow seasons. But now those same voices are watching you reemerge, stronger and more aware. The failed one is confused because the strategy that delayed others didn't stop you. What they don't know is you don't run on their timeline. You move by divine decree. The calendar of heaven is accelerating, and no human hands can hold it back now. Type I walk in God's timing to get blessing 8699. Every attempt to delay you became a record in heaven, not as a threat but as validation. The more they tried to slow you, the more heaven saw you trust. Your patience became your offering. Your silence became your warfare. And now, the harvest is here. Not rushed, not reactionary, just right on time. Every seed they tried to uproot is now blooming in defiance. They planted thorns. God grew roses. They sowed confusion. God gave you clarity. And the scent of your progress is now undeniable. They can't stop the fragrance. They can only stand back and watch you rise. You'll soon walk through doors they tried to block. Not in pride, but in fulfillment. Not to prove anything, but to become everything they said you'd never be. Their delayed tactics are dissolving. Their timing curses are crumbling. The favor on your life is speeding up, and the spirit realm knows it. That's why things are shifting so fast. What took others years will take you months. What felt impossible last season now feels inevitable. Why? Because heaven held it for such a time as this. And now that the time has come, no voice of jealousy can alter it. You were never running late. You were never behind. The delay wasn't a punishment, it was preparation. And now that the clock has struck, nothing can pause your motion. The failed one is exhausted because they invested so much energy in stopping what heaven had already finished. Your destiny wasn't dependent on their support. It was dependent on your surrender. And you surrendered. So now, let the reward come. Let the promises fall like rain. The delay is broken. The wait is over. And your name is being called, not by man, but by the throne itself. Type I'm moving in divine speed to receive blessing 9882. This is the hour of divine separation, not just of people but of dimensions. What once looked connected in the natural has already been severed in the spirit. The failed one still tries to linger, but their access has been revoked. Not by you, but by heaven's command. They still speak your name, but it no longer travels in the same frequency. The angels don't respond to their interference anymore. Your words are falling flat. Your plans are losing traction. You are ascending now. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And with that rise comes the final split. You are not going back. The connection hath been judged. Not by your feelings, but by divine law. What was once tolerated is now forbidden. God is not asking you to disconnect. He's commanding it. This is not rejection. It's preservation. You've passed the test. You proved faithful with little. You stewarded silence with wisdom. And now, you are stepping into territory that cannot carry excess baggage. The failed one wanted to rise with you, but they were never willing to die to themselves. And now, heaven will not allow mixture. This isn't cruelty. This is covenant. Your next season is protected by divine separation. Type I choose the covenant path to get the blessing 8110. They will attempt one final re-entry. Expect it. Just as you begin to cross over, they'll show up. Maybe not physically, but through memories, emotions, even dreams. You'll feel a sudden urge to check on them, to revisit what God closed. Oh, that feeling is not discernment, it's distraction. The failed one is hoping you still have a soft spot for what nearly killed your calling. But you've grown. You now recognize that their presence was never about support. It was about surveillance. And this time, you must seal the door. Not out of anger, but out of understanding. God is jealous over your calling. He's protective over your purpose. and anything that threatens it, no matter how familiar, is a threat to his plan. This is why the separation feels harsh, final, painful. But it must be. If you allow the failed one back into your atmosphere, their alignment will infect your acceleration. Their residue will cloud your vision. This is no longer about feelings. This is about destiny. The threshold you're crossing now is guarded. Not everyone is allowed through. And the failed one, though persistent, no longer qualifies. Heaven has ruled, and the sword has fallen. Type I seal the door to get blessing 8766. You are not being cruel. You are being consecrated. You are not abandoning people. You are answering heaven. Let those who misunderstood your silence continue to misunderstand. Your clarity is not their requirement. You were not called to carry the emotions of those who refused to heal. You are called to rise. And in this rising, you will feel the grief of release. It's okay. Let it pass. The grief is not a sign to return. It's a sign that your soul is catching up with what heaven has already done. Separation hurts because it means something is finally being healed for good. The failed one has already sensed it. That final wall of light that blocked them from you. It wasn't built by your will. It was forged by your obedience. The moment you said yes to God's full plan, angels built a barrier between you and anything connected to disobedience. And now, they cannot reach you. They may shout. They may perform. They may even repent. But heaven is not granting access based on emotion. This is divine administration now. Archangel Michael stands guard, not just to defend, but to divide. What was tolerated in the wilderness is not permitted in the promise. Let them say what they will. Let them assume what they must. Your peace will speak. Your silence will roar. Your next season will be filled with manifestations they can't imitate. The separation is not punishment. It's positioning. And you are being positioned for power, purity, and permanence. No more cycles. No more spiritual leeches. No more delayed assignments due to unassigned people. The failed one is watching, but they are no longer part of the narrative. The final sword has fallen. And this time, it wasn't swung by you. It was wielded by the hand of heaven itself. Type I walk beyond the veil to receive blessing 9907. You passed the test you never knew you were taking. Not because you were perfect, but because you were faithful. While others were performing, you were persevering. While they manipulated outcomes, you surrendered to the process. Heaven saw every silent battle. Every moment you wanted to quit but didn't. Every time you chose obedience over offense. And now, the realm of the Spirit has spoken. You are the chosen, and they are the exposed. Their failure wasn't just personal, it was prophetic. Their fall unveiled the weight of your rising. And now, the final verdict is being announced. Archangel Michael was not merely a defender, he was a witness. He stood beside you when no one else understood. He saw what was plotted against you in secret. He watched as jealousy tried to strangle your voice and delay your destiny. And now, he stands as the enforcer of a heavenly decree. Nothing sent to destroy you will survive. The separation is done. The false alignments have been cut. And the accusations have been overturned by your fruit. You do not owe the world your explanation. You are the evidence that obedience still wins. You were never meant to carry this story silently forever. Heaven used your life to prove a principle. The ones who stay low are the ones who rise in power. The ones who pass the test they didn't know they were taking are the ones God uses as signs and wonders. And now, You're not just stepping into blessing, you're stepping into divine justice. The failed one may still whisper, but the echo no longer travels. Your assignment has expired, and yours is just beginning. What they couldn't stop, they'll now be forced to watch flourish. Go forward boldly, with clarity, not confusion, with peace, not fear. You survived the test because your spirit remained intact. And now, you will walk in rooms they tried to shut. You will carry mantles they tried to mimic. You will experience blessings they tried to delay. You are not here by accident. You are the result of prophecy fulfilled. And the one who failed, they are no longer your concern. Heaven handled it. The war is over. The sword has fallen, and the verdict has been sealed in fire. If this message has stirred your spirit and sparked new courage in your heart, we invite you to give a super thanks of $20. Your generosity empowers us to continue bringing prophetic clarity, strength, and hope to those walking the journey from betrayal to breakthrough. You can also support our mission through a PayPal donation. Just click the support here link in the video description. Every contribution, no matter the amount, helps us reach more hearts with encouragement and truth. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a word of spirit-led insight, divine guidance, and powerful encouragement designed to equip you for your next season. Type "I walk in the final verdict" to receive blessing 9999.